The city of Velmaris sparkled under twin moons, its towers reaching high like fingers touching the stars. Flying transports hummed through the air, and neon signs glowed over markets that never slept. It was a place of wealth, power, and history, a jewel of the old human empire. Lena stood on a balcony of the governor's mansion, staring at the lights below. Her dress shimmered in the breeze, but her face showed no joy. Tomorrow, she would meet her groom. She didn't even know him, not really. His name was Rin, a mechanic from the outer zones. Her father said he was humble but honest, and that their marriage would unite the city's heart with its edges. Lena didn't care about politics. She wanted to choose love, not be given it. She sighed and turned away, her heart heavy. In a quiet district on the city's edge, Rin sat by a window in a small guest house. He looked out at the towering buildings far away. His hands were rough, marked by years of fixing machines. His clothes were plain. His eyes held a strange calmness, as if he had seen more than he spoke of. He wasn't nervous about meeting Lena, but something inside him stirred. Ever since he entered Velmaris, the city felt alive. Doors opened before he touched them. Old machines flickered as he walked past. Once, a cleaning robot paused, looked at him, and said, "Welcome back." He hadn't told anyone. Maybe it was just a glitch. Maybe. The next morning, in the garden of the mansion, Lena met Rin for the first time. He bowed politely. "It's an honor to meet you." She nodded. "I wish it were under different reasons." Rin smiled, not offended. "I understand. I didn't ask for this either." That surprised her. She had expected him to be desperate, eager to impress her. They walked through the garden paths in silence at first. Then Lena spoke. "What do you do exactly?" "I fix things, engines, power cores, old tech, she asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yeah, I like the way it speaks." "Machines speak to you?" she said, half joking. Rin shrugged. In their own way, there was something strange about him. Not rude, not proud, just quiet, like a secret waiting to be told. That evening, Lena found herself thinking about him. Not because she liked him, at least. That's what she told herself, but because he didn't fit the picture she had drawn. He wasn't trying to climb the ladder. He wasn't interested in titles. So why had he agreed to this marriage? She decided. To follow him, using her family's private access, she tracked his signal. He had left his guest house and gone into the city ruins, an old sector long shut down. After the fall of the Empire. What was he doing there? Rin moved through the quiet halls of the ruins with ease. Dust covered everything, walls were cracked, but he walked like he knew the place. He reached a sealed door marked with the symbol of the old Earth Union. He placed his hand on it. The door glowed, then it opened with a hiss. Inside was a dark chamber. In the center stood a machine, half computer, half throne. A voice echoed as lights flickered on. "Identify, Rin," he said simply. There was silence, then, blood confirmed, air. Of the first flame, access granted. The walls lit up, ancient data streamed across screens. Rin stepped forward, calm. Outside, behind a broken pillar, Lena covered her mouth in shock. What had she just seen? Later that night, Lena sat in her room, staring at her reflection. Heir of the first flame, that was a name from the old stories. It belonged to a legendary commander who led humanity when it ruled hundreds of stars. His bloodline was said to be lost during the Great Collapse. But now, her future husband had just been recognized by a machine older than her city. What was he hiding? Meanwhile, in a dark room far across the city, a watcher sent a signal to a distant star. The message was short: "Human signal detected. The flame returns. Orders?" A reply came seconds later. "Observe. If confirmed, eliminate before the uprising begins." Back in the mansion, Rin sat in silence. He had never wanted to be found. He was taught to live quietly, to hide, to wait. But something inside him was changing. The city stirred. Machines whispered. The sword, the one from the stories, was calling. And tomorrow, the trials would begin. The trials were an old tradition. Once every few years, warriors and nobles competed to test strength and spirit. This year, One test would include approaching the Blade of Origin, sealed in the Hall of Stone. No one had touched it in centuries. Many tried. All failed. It was said only the true heir of humanity could draw it, and Lena, still unsure what to believe, had made a quiet request. Let Ren join the trials, she had told the council. Let's see what he's truly made of. As night fell over Velmaris, the city held its breath. A mechanic from the outskirts had arrived, and the stars, for the first time in years, were beginning to whisper. The Hall of Stone stood in silence, carved deep into the mountain behind Velmaris. Its doors had not opened for years, and inside, untouched by time, rested the Blade of Origin, a weapon from the days when humans ruled the stars. Many had tried to draw it. All had failed. Now, the trials would begin again. Lena stood with the council members at the edge of the great hall. Nobles and citizens gathered in rows, watching with curiosity. Some came for honor. Others came to witness failure. No one believed. The blade would move. At the far end of the chamber, resting on a stone pedestal. The sword glowed faintly blue. It was long and straight, made of metal no one could recreate. Stories said it was more than just a weapon, it was a key to awaken the ancient systems of humanity. Ren stood quietly among the competitors. His clothes were simple, and his hands still bore marks of grease from machines he had fixed just days before. The others wore armor or bright robes. Some looked at him and laughed. What's a mechanic doing here? One whispered. Maybe he's looking for tools. Another joked. Ren didn't respond. He wasn't here for pride. He wasn't even sure why he came. But the dream had returned again last night, the dream of light, of voices calling from the stars, and of the sword. One by one, the competitors stepped forward. The first was a tall soldier from the inner guard. He placed both hands on the sword's hilt and pulled. Nothing happened. Next came a noble girl trained in combat since childhood. She gritted her teeth and tried to lift it. Still, nothing. 10 more tried. All failed. The crowd began to murmur. Some LOOKED bored. Some amused. Then Lena gave a small signal. A voice called out, next, Ren of the outer zone. Ren walked forward. The room fell quiet. He approached the sword slowly. It looked plain, yet powerful. It gave off a strange warmth. Ren took a deep breath and reached out. His fingers touched the hilt. Suddenly, the air shifted. A low hum filled the chamber. The sword began to glow brighter. Gasps echoed across the room. Ren tightened his grip and pulled. The sword slid free like it had been waiting. A beam of light shot upward, lighting the whole chamber. Symbols on the walls glowed. Dust lifted into the air as ancient machines deep below the hall rumbled awake. The silence was broken by a voice. A voice from the very walls. Air confirmed. Origin recognized. Prime human present. The people stood frozen. The council stared. No one spoke. Except Lena. She whispered, "It's true." Outside the hall, the city buzzed with news. The blade has been drawn. A commoner holds the sword of Origin. The lost bloodline lives. Some cheered. Others doubted. Some feared. In the high tower of the governor's house, Lena's father clenched his fist. This wasn't supposed to happen, he said coldly. Later that evening, Lena found Ren sitting alone in a quiet courtyard behind the hall. The sword rested beside him. Its glow softer now. She sat near him without speaking for a while. Then, finally, she asked, "Why didn't you tell me?" Ren looked up. His eyes held no pride, only truth. "I didn't know what it meant," he said. "I only knew the machines listened to me, and that I had dreams of stars, of battles, of fire in the sky." Lena frowned. The voice said, "Prime human." "What does that mean?" Ren shook his head. "I'm still trying to understand. But the machines, they recognize something in my blood. Something ancient, something buried. You're not just a mechanic." "No," he said softly. "But I wanted to live like one." In a distant control room hidden under Velmaris, old systems were coming online. Screens lit up with data. Maps showed old Earth colonies. Signal towers blinked to life. In the center of the room stood a glowing image of the sword, dam beside it, the face of Ren. Words scrolled across the main screen. initiating flame protocol, restoring human command line, preparing for uplink. But another signal flashed red. Foreign probe detected in orbit, a known vessel tracking human movement above the planet. Hidden behind a small moon, an alien scout ship watched. Quietly inside, a tall figure in a dark robe studied the reports. Impossible, he said. The sword has responded, another voice replied. The bloodline was believed lost. The figure turned toward the stars. If this is true, we cannot wait. Contact the high seat. If humanity rises again, the balance ends. The ship vanished into warp space. Back on the surface, Lena stared at the stars that night. Everything had changed. Her groom was not just a mechanic. He was something more, something the galaxy had forgotten. A part of her still struggled to believe it, but another part, deep inside, felt something she hadn't expected. Hope. Not just for herself, but for all of humanity. The city of Velmaris had never been this quiet. It had been one full day since Ren pulled the Sword of Origin from the stone. People walked the streets in silence, whispering the same name. Ren, a commoner. No heir of the first. Flame. No one knew exactly what it meant, but all knew it was important. The sword was a symbol of power, of ancient truth, and of human strength. It had waited for centuries, and now someone had answered its call. Inside the council hall, the mood was tense. Leaders of Velmaris sat around a long table, their faces filled with worry. This changes everything. One said, "He is not trained. He is not part of our bloodlines." Another complained. "But the sword chose him," said a third. "We cannot ignore it." Lena sat near the end of the table, her hands folded in her lap. She didn't speak at first. She had been thinking about Ren all night, his quiet voice, his steady hands, the strange way machines seemed to trust him. Her thoughts were interrupted as her father stood. "We must be careful," Governor Hallen said. "This boy may bring danger. If the old systems rise, old enemies may return too." "You're afraid of the past?" Lena asked, her voice calm. "I'm afraid of what the past may awaken," he replied. At that same hour, far from the council, Ren returned to the place where he first entered the ruins. He walked alone, the sword across his back. The blade felt light to him, like it belonged there. Inside the old chamber, screens lit up again. A soft voice welcomed him. "Flame bearer, you return." Ren stepped forward. "Why did the sword choose me? You're of the blood. You carry the spark. You were born to remember." "Remember what?" The room shifted. A large screen showed stars, planets, and cities in space. 300 years ago, humanity ruled this sector. Then the war came. We lost not by strength, but by division. Our leaders vanished. Our systems went silent. Ren watched in silence. The sword was made to wait. It held the signal. Only one with the spark in their blood could return it. Ren spoke slowly. "What do I do now?" "Awaken them, not the weapons. The people." Later that day, Lena found Ren in the city square. Children were gathered around him, asking questions. "Can the sword cut through a wall? Were you trained by the ancients? Do robots listen to you?" Ren just smiled and answered kindly. "The sword isn't for cutting walls. It's for protecting people, and I was trained by machines." Lena watched from a distance. She saw how calm he was, how natural he seemed. She stepped forward when the crowd left. "You're becoming a hero," she said. "I'm not trying to. That's why people trust you." Ren looked at her. "Do you?" Lena paused, then nodded. "More than I did before." They walked quietly for a moment. Then Lena spoke again. "My father is worried. He thinks you might wake enemies from the past." Ren sighed. "They're already waking up. I can feel it." That night, far above the planet, a new ship entered the system. Larger than the scout, faster, and angry. Inside, a tall figure in silver armor gave a quiet order. "Scan the planet. Find the human with the sword." The ship released small probes. One of them flew down into Velmaris, silent, hidden, watching. The alien captain turned toward the stars. "Humanity's time ended long ago. If they rise again, we finish what we started." Back in the city, the dreams returned to Ren. He saw flashes, huge ships in space, human soldiers in armor, in a burning sky. In the dream, he stood in the center, holding the sword, not to fight, but to unite. When he woke, he knew what to do. He asked Lena to take him to the old archives deep below the governor's mansion. "They're locked," she said. "Not for me," Ren replied. They went together. The walls of the archives were covered in dust, old tech, broken screens, forgotten maps. But when Ren entered, the machines came alive. Lights flickered. Doors unlocked. At the center was a glowing cube. He touched it. A voice filled the room. Command line opened. Legacy code accepted. Then the screen showed something that made Lena gasp. It was a star map marked with human colonies. "Lost long ago. Are those other planets?" she asked. Ren nodded. "Places we once called home." Lena looked at him. "What now?" "We reach out," Ren said. "We remind them who we are." But before they could act, the signal was jammed. A warning flashed across the screen. "Incoming transmission. Origin unknown. Signal not human." Ren turned to Lena. "They found U.S." Lena's eyes narrowed. "Then we'll be ready." In the deep night, far above Velmaris, the alien ship locked onto its target. The captain stared at the image of the young human with the sword. "A boy," he said softly. "A child of fire." He turned to his crew. "Prepare the strike." Back on the planet, the people of Velmaris watched the sky. The stars twinkled as always. But Ren felt something new in the wind. Not fear, but a choice. The past had found them. Now they had to decide, would they hide again or rise? The next morning, the skies above Velmaris turned gray. Clouds gathered unnaturally fast. Winds changed direction. Birds flew in strange patterns, as if something large was coming, and it was not of this world. Ren stood on the steps of the old archives, the sword of origin resting on his back. He looked up and quietly said, "They're here." Lena joined him, holding a small data pad. The governor's systems picked up a ship, large, unknown design, silent, but powerful. "Not human," Ren said. "No." They looked at each other. The moment had come faster than expected. In the council chambers, panic was rising. "This is exactly what we feared," one elder shouted. "Because of him, we're now being watched. No, hunted." Lena stepped forward. "That ship didn't come because of Ren. It came because we forgot who we were." She pointed to the old star map still glowing on the wall. "We used to be everywhere. We were strong, united. Now we're hiding in one city and scared of our own past." Her father stood slowly. "And what do you suggest?" "Fight." Ren entered the chamber, his voice calm. "No," he said. "Not fight. Prepare." Later that day, Ren and Lena returned to the ruins, following a deeper path inside. Lena carried a small light. "Where are we going?" "To find the truth," Ren replied. They passed old walls filled with carvings, humans standing with alien allies, great ships flying across stars, and at the center of it all, a glowing sword in a human's hand. They reached a sealed door. At the end of the hall, Ren placed his hand on it. The door opened. Inside was a small room, filled with old tech and a sleeping machine in the middle. As they stepped closer, the machine opened, its eyes blue and bright. Commander line detected. Identity, Ren of House Valen. Lena froze. "House Valen." Ren looked confused. "I've never heard that name." The machine continued. "House Valen, the final bloodline of Earth's high command, lost after the fall, preserved through hidden colonies, activated only by the sword." Ren sat slowly. "So, I really am from the old bloodline." Lena touched his shoulder. "You're not just carrying the sword. You are its chosen one." The machine showed them more. Images of ancient humans leading fleets, protecting colonies, and building peace. Then it showed the fall, alien betrayals, human leaders turning against each other, and finally, silence. Lena asked, "Why now?" "Why? Wake up now." "Because the galaxy needs humans again," the machine answered. "And it begins with you." Meanwhile, above Velmaris, the alien ship cloaked itself. Inside, the captain watched the city below. "They are preparing," one officer said. "Let them," the captain replied. "Their hope will make their fall harder." A message was sent to the planet surrender the flame bearer, or face extinction. The message arrived in the council hall. It echoed through every screen in the city. Citizens gathered, frightened. Lena read it aloud in front of them all. This is not the first time humans have been told to kneel, she said. But it may be the last if we rise together. People listened. Some nodded. Some still doubted. Then Ren stepped forward and raised the sword. It shone bright, not just light, but courage. And something inside the city awakened. Ancient defense towers, once silent, began to hum. Old ships hidden beneath the ground powered up. Vilmorus remembered. The governor looked out his window and spoke to his daughter. You were right, he said. Lena turned to him. You were trying to protect us, she said gently. Now let's protect each other. That evening, as stars began to shine again, Ren stood with the sword beside a large platform. The old war machine, a ship called the Emberlight, stood behind him, its lights glowing once more. Lena arrived in a pilot suit. Are you ready? No, Ren said honestly. But I will be, she smiled. Good answer. As they entered the ship together, Ren paused and looked at the people gathered below. I'm not here to rule, he said. I'm here to remind you. He held the sword high. Humanity is not lost, not weak, not forgotten. We remember now, and we rise. The crowd erupted in cheers. But far above them, the alien captain gave a final order. Begin descent. Their ships cloaked again. But this time, Vilmorus would not be silent. Inside the Emberlight, Ren and Lena sat side by side in the control room. Old systems recognized them instantly. Flame bearer confirmed. Pilot confirmed. Defense. GRID online. Lena looked at Ren. Whatever happens next, we face it together. Ren nodded. Together. Outside, the skies changed once more. But this time, they would not bring fear. They would bring the first battle of a new beginning, and the sword of origin, once again, would shine. Vilmorus no longer slept. Day and night, people worked to repair old machines, load supplies, and prepare defenses. The once quiet streets now echoed with the sound of drills, engines, and voices full of energy. Fear had turned into purpose. The alien ship was still above the planet, silent but present. Its shadow stretched across the sky like a warning, and everyone knew time was short. In the governor's private chambers, Lena sat across from her father. The air between them was heavy. You want to stand beside him, the governor said. Yes, she replied calmly. You are my only daughter, he said, voice low. I've given my life to protect this city, this people. I arranged your marriage with peace in mind. Lena didn't look away. You arranged it because you thought Ren was harmless, a quiet mechanic, easy to control. The governor's eyes narrowed. And now, I know who he is. Not just the flame bearer, but a good man. A kind man. He didn't seek power. The sword chose him. He stood and looked out the window. Do you trust him with your life? I already have, she said, and I do it again. At the edge of the city, Ren stood before the awakened Emberlight ship. Engineers and young cadets checked systems. Drones buzzed through the sky. Ren stared at the sword in his hand. Its glow was steady, but not bright, like it was waiting. He remembered what the machine had told him. The sword's true power is not in battle. It is in belief. He wasn't sure if that meant faith in himself or something more. He heard footsteps behind him. Lena approached, wearing her pilot gear. Again, you look like someone carrying a mountain. Ren gave a small smile. It feels like one. She stepped closer. You're not alone. Ren turned toward her. Your father won't allow this marriage now. I didn't ask him for permission. His eyes widened a little. You're serious? She nodded. This isn't about politics anymore. This is about what's right and what I choose. He looked down at the sword. I'm not a perfect leader. Lena touched his hand. Good. Because perfect leaders fall. Real ones rise slowly. Meanwhile, high above the planet, inside the alien ship, the captain received the final command from his empire. Destroy the city. End the line. He gave the order without hesitation. Missile pods opened. Cloaked drones moved into position. One final message was sent to Vilmorus. Surrender within 1 hour or be destroyed. The message played on every screen across Velmaris. The countdown began. People froze. Some panicked, some cried, but others began to move faster. Soldiers took positions. Shields powered on. Civilians helped each other find safe places. At the center of it all stood Lena, now fully in command of the ground forces, and Rin, holding the sword as the city's final shield. In the council chamber, the elders once again argued. This is madness. We can't win against that ship. They'll burn everything. Governor. Hallen raised his hand. Enough. He looked at the image of his daughter on the screen, standing tall beside the flame bearer. She has chosen her side, he said softly. And now, so will I. He turned to the council. Send the order. Velmaris will fight. Back at the launch platform, Lena and Rin stood side by side. The old ship Emberlight was ready. A crowd gathered to watch them. Lena looked around. They're all waiting for you to say something. Rin looked nervous. I'm not good with speeches, she smiled. Then just be honest. Rin took a breath and spoke to the people. I was born in the outer zones. I fixed machines. I never wanted to lead. But something is happening. Something bigger than me, or you, or this city. He raised the sword. This blade didn't make me a leader. You did. With your hope. With your trust. He looked at Lena. With your choice. Then louder. To the city. They're coming to silence us. But we will answer not with fear, but with light. The sword flashed bright. The crowd cheered. As the countdown neared 0. The alien ship launched its attack. Drones dived through the clouds. Missiles locked onto the city. But Velmaris was ready. Old cannons, restored by Rin's touch, roared to life. Defense grids lit the sky. Drones were blasted. Missiles were blocked by shields powered by long-forgotten energy cells. And then the Emberlight rose into the sky. Lena flew it. Rin stood in the command seat, sword in hand, connected to the ship's systems through the sword's signal. Alien ships moved to intercept. Rin gave the order. Full power. The ancient ship answered. The battle above Velmaris lit the sky with fire and light. Human and alien tech clashed. Drones spun and fell. Beams cut the air. Inside the Emberlight, Rin felt everything, each system, each pulse. The sword pulsed. With him, it was like flying with the spirit of the past. Lena moved like a master pilot, dodging blasts, guiding them through danger. One shot hit the ship. Alarms rang. Rin fell forward. The sword's light flickered. Lena caught him. Stay with me. He opened his eyes slowly. I'm here. Back on the ground, the people of Velmaris watched. When the alien ship began to descend, fire around its hull, cheers rose from every street. The Emberlight flew above it, and with a final burst of energy, Rin raised the sword high. A beam of light shot down, striking the alien vessel's core. The enemy ship fell into the sea beyond the mountains, broken. Defeated. Silence followed, then celebration. Later, at the center of the city, the people gathered again. This time, not for war, but for something else. Rin stood in a simple robe. Lena stood beside him, glowing with quiet strength. The ceremony was small. No crowns, no titles, just a vow. Lena looked at Rin. I chose you when you were quiet. I chose you when the world doubted you, and I'll choose you again every time. Rin took her hands. And I will stand with you, not above or ahead, but beside. As long as the stars burn, they were joined not just as bride and groom, but as leaders of a rising hope. From the shadows of the galaxy, others watched, some curious, some afraid, because the sword of origin had returned, and with it, humanity had taken its first step back into the stars. The alien ship had fallen, but Velmaris was not safe yet. Only one enemy had been defeated. Others had seen the light of the sword of origin from deep space. The signal had spread. Like a spark in dry grass. Now, more ships were coming. In this time, they were not scouts or small hunters. They were warships. Rin stood in the control room of the old command tower, overlooking the valley. On the screen before him, 5 alien fleets moved toward Velmaris. They're faster than we expected, said Lena. Stepping beside him, Rin didn't speak right away. He just stared at the screen. His hand rested on the Sword of Origin, now placed gently in a power cradle. The sword pulsed slowly, like a heart waiting to beat faster. We can't fight them all head-on, he finally said. Lena nodded. So we make them fight on our terms. Across the city, alarms rang. Soldiers, engineers, medics all prepared for what could be the final battle. Children were taken to shelters. Walls were reinforced. Old tech was moved into position. Velmaris had little time left, but it had something no other place in the galaxy had. Hope. In the central plaza, Lena stood on a tall platform, speaking through the city's broadcast system. We are outnumbered. We are outgunned, but we are not outmatched. She pointed to the sky. They think humans are weak, that we are broken, that we have forgotten who we are. Her voice rose. But we remember now. We remember what it means to stand, to rise, to fight not because we want power but because we protect what we love. The people of Velmaris cheered. Fear was still there, but so was something greater. Fire. Meanwhile, in the control room, Ren activated the sword's signal system. Ancient frequencies came to life. Sending message now, said the technician beside him. To whom? Someone asked. Ren answered softly. To every human colony that still breathes. Even if they've forgotten they're human, the message was short but powerful. Velmaris stands. The Sword of Origin has returned. If you can hear this, you are not alone. The alien fleets arrived in orbit, huge ships, black as space, lined up like a wall in the stars. Inside the lead ship, a commander in red armor studied the planet below. They resist. Another officer nodded. They hold the sword. The commander turned, cold and calm. Then we take it, burn the city. No survivors. Back on the surface. The Emberlight was fueled and ready, and Lena entered the ship again, just as they had before. But this time, they were not alone. Other ships, small, old, worn, rose from hidden bunkers across Velmaris. Pilots stepped forward. Some had never flown in battle. Some were just farmers with courage in their hearts. The fleet was small, but it flew. The battle began as light exploded in the sky. Alien fighters rained down like fire. Human ships rose like sparks. Velmaris became a storm of energy, smoke, and light. The Emberlight flew through the center of it all. Ren guided the ship using the sword's link, while Lena made fast, perfect moves through danger. The alien ships had numbers, but the humans had something more powerful, purpose. On the ground, Lena's team led civilians to safety while auto turrets fired into the sky. Giant defense towers, once silent for generations, now roared like lions awakened from long sleep. In the south, a young cadet named Bren took down 3 enemy drones by controlling a turret with a hand-linked headset Ren had restored. I don't know how I'm doing this, he shouted. You're doing it because it's time, said the voice of an old engineer beside him. Inside the Emberlight, Ren felt the pressure growing. The sword was warm now, glowing brighter. Then something unexpected happened. Other lights blinked on the control map. Not enemy ships, human ships from space. A voice crackled through the speaker. This is Arc 7 from the area belt. We heard the signal. We've come to fight. Another voice. Risen 3 colony ship here. We carry no weapons, but we carry engineers. Send us where you need us. Ren looked at Lena. They're answering the call, he said, stunned. She smiled. Humanity is waking up. The battle raged on. The alien commander grew angry. Focus all fire on the Emberlight. Bring down the flame bearer. Dozens of ships turned and aimed at Ren's vessel. Too many. Too fast. Lena shouted, we need to break away. But Ren didn't move. He closed his eyes and reached deep inside the sword's energy. The Sword of Origin pulsed bright, then brighter, then blinding. A wave of energy burst outward, not destroying, but shutting down every alien weapon in the air. The sky went silent for a moment, then the human fleet charged. On the ground, people watched in awe. Alien ships began to fall from the sky, not in flames, but in surrender. Pilots ejected, weapons powered off. The attack was ending. The war was turning. Because of one light, when the final alien ship dropped below orbit, a silence covered the city. Then a cheer. Then thousands. People poured into the streets. They shouted. They hugged. They cried. Because for the first time in generations, they had won. Not just a battle, but something bigger. Their future. Later that night, in the heart of Velmaris, Ren stood by the edge of the balcony. The sword rested beside him. It no longer glowed, but it hummed softly. Lena came and stood beside him. Is it over? She asked. For now, he said. But it's just the beginning. She looked at him. Are you ready for what's next? Ren smiled. I wasn't ready for any of this, but I'm still here. She took his hand. Then let's build something new. Above them, stars filled the sky, and beyond them, many more human colonies were waking up, listening, wondering, remembering. The flame had returned, and humanity was no longer silent. 1 month had passed since the battle above Velmaris. The skies were clear again. No more alien ships, no more warnings. Only peace and the beginning of something new. People were rebuilding not just walls, but trust. Trust in each other. Trust in the idea that humanity could rise again. And at the center of it all stood two people, Ren, the flame bearer, and Lena, daughter of the governor, now known as the first pilot of the rebirth. On the main platform of the city, a gathering had formed. Ships from many colonies now rested above Velmaris. Flags from long-forgotten human settlements waved in the wind. Pilots, engineers, and leaders from across space stood side by side. The Human Unity Council had been called for the first time in centuries. This time, it wasn't ruled by power. It was built by choice. By belief. Ren stood before the crowd. The sword of origin hung at his back, not glowing, but still present. He looked across the people. His voice steady but kind. We did not win because of weapons, he said. We won because we remembered. He paused. Velmaris stood alone. At first, but then others answered. You answered. From silent colonies, from broken ships, from distant stars. He raised his hand. This is not the end of a story. This is the first chapter of a new one. The people clapped. Some wiped tears. Others simply stood, quiet, feeling something they had not felt in a long time. Pride. After the meeting, Lena walked with Ren through the garden near the archives. You didn't mention your title, she said with a small smile. He chuckled. I still don't like titles. You're the flame bearer, the last heir of House Valen. And you're the one who made me speak in public. She laughed. That's fair. They sat on a bench near a small fountain. The sun was setting. And for the first time in years, the city was truly at peace. That night, Ren entered the ancient chamber below the city once more. The machines were still active, waiting. He placed the sword on its cradle. A soft voice filled the room. You have fulfilled the first purpose. What's next? Ren asked. Unity, exploration, restoration. The walls around him lit up with old maps, dozens of lost human settlements across distant stars. Some had sent messages, others remained silent. They're still out there, Ren whispered. And they need to be found. Back on the surface, Lena met with her father. The governor looked older now, but calm. I thought I was protecting the city, he told her. But you were building something better. You protected us for years, she said. Now it's time to open the doors. He nodded slowly. Are you leaving? She smiled gently. Not forever. But yes, there are other cities, other people. We can help them. He looked at her proudly. Then go, and may the stars guide you both. In the weeks that followed, plans were made. A new ship was built larger than the Emberlight, with room for engineers, doctors, translators, and explorers. They named it the Horizon Flame. It wasn't a warship. It was a ship of peace. Of reconnection. Ren and Lena would lead it together. Their goal: reach every lost human colony, offer help, share knowledge, bring them home. The day of the launch arrived. Crowds filled the city once again, not with fear this time, but celebration. Ren stepped forward. With Lena at his side. I was once just a mechanic, he said to the people. You gave me the chance to be more. Now I carry your voice to the stars. Lena raised her hand. And I fly not with orders but with hope. The people cheered. The engines of the Horizon Flame roared to life. As the ship lifted into the sky. Children waved small flags, elders saluted. The sword rested in the ship's central chamber, still silent, but ready, and slowly. The stars above Velmaris welcomed the rising ship. Their first destination was a planet once known as Orvan 6. The last signal from there had come to 100 years ago. No one knew what they would find. As the ship approached, sensors lit up. Lena checked the readings. There's power down there. Lights, cities. Were nodded. Then we begin. They landed near an old station. People came out cautious, but curious. They were simple clothes. Their tech was outdated, but their eyes were full of life. A young girl stepped forward. Are you from the stars? Ren smiled. We're from home. Lena handed her a small device showing the symbol of united humanity. The girl looked at it, confused. What is this? It's a light, Lena said softly, and a promise. In the days that followed, more colonies were found. Some were advanced, some were just surviving. But all of them had one thing in common. They had forgotten they were not alone. And now, because of one city, one sword, and one quiet mechanic who never wanted to lead, they remembered. One evening, inside the ship, Ren and Lena stood by the viewing window. Stars stretched across the dark sky like diamonds. We still have far to go, Lena said. Yes, Ren replied. But we're not lost anymore, she added. Ren looked at her, smiling. No, we're finally going home. The sword of origin rested quietly behind them. It didn't shine. It didn't hum. It didn't need to, because its purpose had been fulfilled, to remind humanity of who they were and who they could become again. The end.